From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big, huge afternoon of Afternoons LALATE with your $3.5 trillion RECON passed. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021 on Saturday night, a House Budget Subcommittee passed your $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill. Cluster number one got in there, 645 pages of checks, including checks for seniors, $4,000 to care for an elderly, hazard pay, got in there, and then checks for vehicles, cars, and more. Cluster number two passed that provision for incredible checks for workers and seniors. Cluster number three passed checks for prescription medication and free internet. So then what's going on next? In this recording, we'll go over why the House is not calling the vote on the RECON just yet, why it's not a complete bill, it's a draft of a bill, it's a markup of the bill, and why AOC, Omar, Pelosi, and Jalopal's office confirmed to viewers since Friday, and even on Monday, that they're still inserting a monthly stimulus, IRS stimulus check provision in there. I have all the latest details. On top of that, Ron Wyden over on the Senate is proposing to insert an extension of unemployment benefits in there from the Senate side. Nancy Pelosi's having key negotiations today. The president meets with two key Senate Democrats today, and I'll explain to you in the final 15 minutes the very critical, confusing, and fluid negotiations that happened late Monday night about the RECON, the infrastructure, and the debt ceiling limit. Boy, it is a very fluid situation as the House Subcommittee passes your RECON, but guess what? They still have a lot of issues to talk about, and I'm going to be talking about them with you as Afternoons LALATE starts right now. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It's getting cooler because it's definitely chilly weather here in Santa Monica, California. But on Saturday night, the House Subcommittee for Budget passed your $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill. Price tag, $3.5 trillion. All the clusters, the checks covered on this channel got in there. Cluster number one got in there. Checks for hazard pay, checks for cars, students, and home repairs. Cluster number two got in there. Weatherizing your home, paid sick leave got in there. And cluster number three passed as well. Money for seniors, money for workers, adults, big money across the board, all passed. In this recording, I will explain to you what got in there. It's incredible. It's the biggest item we've ever seen in the history of this channel passed on a House subcommittee. But I'll explain to you what's going on. And in the final 15 minutes, I'll explain that massive meeting last night by House Democrats about what's next. I'll go over it. It has to do with infrastructure, RECON, and the debt ceiling limit. The President of the United States, meantime, is having a key meeting today. I'll be going over that as well. I'll be cutting over to FSTMOS, which raises your benefits up a lifetime, SSI and SSDI. That comes up later this year. And then we come to the additional $13 billion that's coming to your cities, counties, states already for rent and utilities. Meantime, I'll have the statements from the Federal Reserve on Capitol Hill today. Oh boy, it's a jam-packed recording. But with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family because on Saturday night, the world exclusive, the world breaking news happened on this channel. The Senate passing a congressional $3.5 trillion RECON package out of the House Budget Committee. Broadcast media didn't cover, print media didn't cover, YouTube channels didn't cover it. No one covered it. And no one's practically covering the Monday night negotiations either, except this channel. This is incredible, excruciating detail you're only going to see on this channel. If you want detail, if you want to be informed, if you want to know all the nuances, you tune into this channel. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right to the details, starting right now with the massive passage on Saturday night. On Saturday night, a House subcommittee passed the $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill. That budget committee passed all the clusters covered on this channel. Cluster number 1, the first 645 pages of what is now going to be a 2,400-page bill. Going to be. It's not a bill yet. Number 2, the cluster number 2, which is covered on this channel. I'll go over that in a second, the 12 checks, and then cluster number 3, the president's checks. Meantime, going into the weekend, Jalapal, AOC, and Omar's office confirmed to countless viewers of this channel that there's going to be an amendment and inclusion of a monthly stimulus check provision, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. Nearly 1,000 viewers have been told by senators and House members that the inclusion is happening, and they were told as recently as Friday. Some viewers are making the calls yesterday, today, that those checks are still included. And guess what? A lot of other people are still making amendments, and the new news today is that Ron Wyden's trying to make an amendment on the Senate side for the extension of unemployment benefits. Wow, it's getting very good. Let's go over all the details, starting with the first 645 pages that got in there. Cluster number 1 were the first 645 pages detailed and released by the House Budget Committee about 2 weeks ago, and they got in there. It's important to understand the following, that the RECON is checks for everyone. It is not pandemic related. It is not just for children. It is not just for seniors. It's not for any walk of life. It's called Build Back Better because it's for going forward a lifetime. All right, in this first cluster are checks for hazard pay, checks to care for the seniors, checks of MSC, multiple monthly stimulus checks of $51,000, cars, vehicles, trucks, and then also checks to repair the home, and then college grants. Let's go over all the details starting right now. They got in there, hazard pay. Wow. After being the biggest place on the net to advocate for hazard pay for you and me and everyone else, we got it in there. Hazard pay will be a modification of an old tax code called the Earned Income Tax Credit. So more people are eligible for it, and then they're going to increase the amount of money. And they got that in there. Then they got to up to $4,000 a year to care for an elderly person at home. This is huge. This is Richard Neal's insertion. And then on the flip side, they're going to do up to $4,000 a year to care for a young child. How about college students? They got 3 items in there. Grants directly to the university, grants to the college students, and then also making the Pell's grant tax-free. What about the home? They got that in there as well. If you live in a low-income household, a low-income community, they'll give you new checks to repair the home. And what about $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks? Oh my goodness, they got it in there. The CTC got in there and got it modified. The child tax credit will be paying up to $300 a month every month if the child is in a low-income household for 18 years per child. Yes, so if you gave birth to a child over the weekend in a low-income household, you'll get up to $300 every month, every year for up to 18 years, which is $51,000. And an incredible twist of events, they got an amendment to the CTC at the 11th hour on Saturday night that said we will include the coverage also when the parent is not a biological parent, not a blood relative. This is huge. This is wonderful. Then they got money in there for cars, trucks, and bikes, all electric, all U.S. auto manufacturer. For bikes, up to 15% of the purchase price, the federal government will pick up the price tag. For electric cars, up to $7,500 personal use, a little bit more for business use. And then a truck for business use, a little bit even more. Wow. In a second, we're going to go over cluster number 2. That got in there, passed, and cluster number 3 that got in there, passed. We'll be going over to those MSC, IRS stimulus check in a second. Democrats AOC, Jalapal, and Omar confirming that they're in there, including the countless other senators as well. I'll go over that in a second. But let's take a detour for just a second over to third stimulus. Third stimulus got a cash infusion of $13 billion of extra money from Treasury. Treasury was brilliantly smart in sending the money out last week because the debt ceiling limit is looming for Friday, and they wouldn't be able to send it out on Friday if we if we shut down on Friday. Now, that $13 billion is going out for rent, utilities, and food, rent, utilities, and mortgage. And here's the statement. Treasury happened to provide the state and local governments with these additional resources for the Americans in need. More about how to get that money in just a second, but let's get some more checks. Cluster number 2's checks are incredible, and yes, they're deliciousness. There's 12 of them, and they pay a lot. The first one is paid family leave and paid medical leave. Paid family leave, your wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave, your child broke his leg. How much does it pay? A lot. Under third stimulus was supposed to pay up to $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. split it in half. $800 a week if you make $35,000 or more per year. Split it in half. $15,000 a year, then you would get $400 a week. Wow. Then they got checks in there for childcare programs, checks for household tax credits, checks for Medicare benefits, including dental, vision, hearing, and Medicare eligibility age. Those got in there passed. I'll have more about that in the third cluster. They got them as well. And then weatherizing your home got in there passed. Wow. This is a huge one. Weatherizing your home. Definitely needed when the Purple Hawks are on the roof. And your Fox News. Definitely needed. Weatherizing your home is things like you're in a hurricane alley or a tornado zone. Then they got educational money in there as well. Yes, this is the next set of educational money you're seeing on this channel, in this recon. They got pre-kindergarten free. And that is fascinating because late yesterday, there was a report out there that says they may have to modify this because they're not quite sure how to apply it. Yes, it's a very fluid situation, this whole recon passage. Then over we go to the free community college nationwide. This is huge because there's so many people that say, I want to take that very popular class I've heard about a lot. It's called What the Hell is LATE Saying? He Talks Funny 101. It's for people who think people in Los Angeles have a dialect and we just talk a foreign language. Kale salad. Kale salad, kale salad, kale salad. What are you talking about? Kale salad. You want to take that language class and be fluent in Los Angeles? Yes, you can. It'll now be free. Wow. And with that, let's figure out where is the House? Where is the Senate? What are they doing before we get to the third cluster? Well, there is a lot that is going on. In the final 15 minutes, I will go over this monstrous meeting that happened last night. The monstrous meeting showed you that the situation is very fluid. It's very fluid. That nothing is black and white. That nothing is etched in stone. Number one, there's no bill. Number two, there's no everyone but two people. There is no, House versus Senate. There is no House altogether. Everything is a fraction and a fraction and a fraction. This group and that group and this group and that group and those three people and those five people. There is literally it's like a clique in high school. It's like a clique in high school. There's 10 people over here that want to do something, 10 people over there that want to do something, 20 people over there that want to do something. And I'm going to tell you what went on last night. But here's what you need to know is that we have three bodies of legislation that are becoming more intertwined on the voting of them by the hour. We don't know how the day will turn out. I told you between now and Friday, Nancy Pelosi has said that it's going to be a week of intensity. It is. And in some regards, they're having private meetings and the nuances of what goes on in the private meetings, we're relying upon off-the-record comments about what happened in that private meeting because they're not coming out of the private meeting telling you. What's important to understand is that Jalapal Omar and AOC absolutely have your back. They want that IRS MSC stimulus check in there. Number two, that while a draft of what would be a bill, 2,400 pages, called the Build Back Better Act, passed on the House floor on Saturday, that's not the final document. It's a document they're working with. We do have confirmation of that in writing from Pelosi, that they're making modifications from the senators, making modifications from the House, and making modifications from the president. And that's why Jalapal, AOC, and Omar continue to tell viewers of this channel they're inserting an IRS stimulus check in there on the House side. Let's cut to the third cluster of checks. I have more about this voting process in the final 15 minutes of this video. Well, here we go with the third cluster. These are the ones the president wants in there. And there's an additional $107 billion coming to you. I have that world exclusive coming up. Free school meals for all, checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, then checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers like independent contractors, and checks for seniors like dental, vision, hearing care. $107 billion. What happened? Well, 2 weeks ago, the Senate parliamentarian ruled one of the provisions in there can't stay there. Money for the judiciary. I went back in my notes and I cross-referenced to figure out how much that money that is. It's $107 billion. You're only hearing this on channel. Guess where they're reallocating that money to? You. Wow. Two of the clusters of checks, two of the items of checks in this third cluster are wonderful. The president likes them. I like them because they're instant savings to you. First one, cheaper prescription medication. How will this work? You go to the pharmacy and you pay for a prescription. Let's say you take two $20 bills out today to pay for it. This becomes law a month ago. Then you go a month from now, and then you go to refill the prescription. you may only have to take out one $20 bill. Wow. An instant savings of a $20 bill in your wallet. Then, on the other side, free internet. They're getting fortunes to cities and counties and states so that they can offer free internet services to you. This is very much needed. That free internet services will be provided on a city, county, and state level. Red, blue, rich and poor states will have it. And yes, all you have to do is ask for what the username is and what the password is on the Wi-Fi. The username, sir, is Blaine66, and the password is Scarf909. There you go. In the second half of this video, we'll be cutting to the big dramatics that happened last night in a major meeting between Democrats late last evening. We'll go over what that means about roads and bridges, what it means about RECON, what it means about the debt ceiling limit. We'll be going over the president's meeting today. We'll be going over what can happen in the next 4 days and what may not happen, what will happen, and what we simply just don't know yet. It's a very fluid situation. The situation could change between even now and evenings LALATE. Then we'll be cutting over to third stimulus, which has a lot of money. We'll be cutting over the debt ceiling limit so you understand what that means. And then we'll be turning also to the exciting details of fifth stimulus. It's a big recording, and it's a monstrous one with situation changing by the hour, on the hour. This is the latest breaking news. I'll have more about this for you as we return in just 60 seconds. As afternoon's LALATE continues in about 60 seconds.
From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE. From LALATE
the excitement continues right now from Santa Monica, California, as Afternoons LA continues. The reconciliation budget bill passed on a Saturday night in the subcommittee of the House, but what's next? $3.5 trillion of checks in there passed by a subcommittee of the budget bill of the budget committee. It's a huge historic day for the American people. Cluster number 1 and cluster number 2 and cluster number 3's checks got in there. But what's going on next? In the second half of this recording, we'll be going over the voting on the RECON, the voting on the bipartisan, and the voting on the debt ceiling limit. We'll go over what that debt ceiling limit means to you. We'll be cutting over third stimulus as additional cash infusions come in, and guess what? The nonprofits are paying money for viewers overnight, including brand new refrigerators. We'll be cutting to fifth stimulus and more. It's a big, huge second half of this recording. I'm excited you're here, and I have the latest details direct from Washington, and let's get to them starting right now. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Well, the big surprise, first off, is third stimulus. $13 billion of cash infusion was sent out by the president 2 weeks ago, and thank goodness he did it, because Treasury will have issues by the end of the week. That $13 billion of cash infusions for rent, utilities, food, and internet back to your cities and counties and states for you under third stimulus. Third stimulus was to allocate $48 billion, but they had not sent out the last $13 billion. And now you can get that money. Let's go over how you can get that money. Get the cell phone ready, pen and paper. We're going to go over all the details starting right now. When we look at the money for rent, it's gone up 200% in less than a month. When we look at the money for utilities, it's gone up 300%. When we look at the money for SNAP, it's gone up 400%. I want you to get these big sums of money right now. Well, first, let's look at the money for rent. It was a month ago that Purple Hawks, this channel, were getting $20,000 for rent. Now they're getting over $40,000 from this channel. What happened? Just viewers have gotten much more sophisticated. You remember Mark, $51,000 Mark? Well, now people are inspired. It was a month ago people like Nisi all the way to Elizabeth, Purple Hawks, were getting $20,000 to $27,000 for rent. Now they're getting $40,000 like Jen. When we talk about utilities, it's gone from $5,000 now to $15,000 for Mark's brother-in-law. And when we talk about SNAP, boy, it's gone from $5,000 to $21,000 for Mark's brother-in-law. Get the pen, paper, cell phone ready. I'm going to show you how to get these big sums of money right now. We can get some money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. They have different eligibility. They have different pots of money. Number 2, listen to the keywords I say in this video. And number 3, listen for the nonprofits that come up as well. All right, here's where you reach out to. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Let's go over those 6 places again. City hall, city house authority. County hall, county house authority. State hall, and state house authority. Now, I want you to become a member, and the link is in the video, because daily the members are sent out for me the newsletter. And now in the newsletter is that Treasury press release about the $13 billion. I want you to read and understand what it is before you call up asking for that rent if you reached out to the place before and they said they're out of money, because they absolutely will no longer be out of money. Red, blue, rich, poor state, city, county, they will all have it. I want you to reach out to them. Is there a waiting list? Can I be on the waiting list? No waiting list? Can I call you tomorrow? I want you to pounce because the money won't be there indefinitely. Then we turn to the big money that is available from the utility companies. Reach out to all utility companies. If you have 5, reach out to all 5. And then the nonprofits. What a huge success story. The nonprofits were nearly 500 videos on this channel between December of 2020 and spring 2021. Viewers got fortunes from this channel, but I didn't know if they were still paying. I brought them back in the mix a week ago, and boy, are they paying. Number 1, a viewer got a brand new refrigerator from one nonprofit. Another viewer from another nonprofit got a refrigerator, a furnace, and her window fix. One viewer from St. Vincent de Paul reports getting their rent paid and funded within 24 hours of approval. Same thing over at United Way. Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. It's important to understand that you need to reach out to them because they have different pots of money. They have different eligibility than the federal government, and they pay for different things. They'll pay for homeless people into shelters. They'll pay for clothing sometimes. They'll sometimes pay for small appliances, clothing, food. They'll sometimes pay for things the federal government won't pay for. So reach out to them. Here are the 5 nonprofits again: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. All right, let's cut now to SNAP. SNAP is money for food. It comes from Department of Agriculture, and it's raising everyone's benefits up an average of 25% a lifetime automatically. On Morning's Countdown today, I was so excited. One viewer said basically what I've been telling you was going to happen. The viewer said, "Thank you, LA. I got the first letter that said my benefits were going down because September has passed. Everyone's benefits were raised up from January to September, and you're going to get a letter saying, 'Hi, that's over.'" The viewer heard my recording where I said, "Don't worry, because there's a second letter that says now your benefits are going up starting in October, an average of 25%. And the viewer said, "I got the letter yesterday. Thank you, LA. And boy, are my benefits going up a lot." I think the viewer said she was going up from like 500 to 800. It was a huge jump. So very excited for the viewer. Again, everyone's benefits are going up an average of 25% automatically nationwide starting October. Mark's brother-in-law is going from 21 to 26,000. Then the unemployment benefits. One, the one from the state due to overpayment of computer error, that one is coming from your state. Reach out to them. Tracking, the amount is spending anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. And then the refund check from IRS. When you pay taxes on the 2020 unemployment benefits, average payment is $1,200, $2,000. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. Do an IRS.gov tracking search, and 70% of the time it will work. Meantime, if you're in the live chat, post your success stories for rent, utilities, food, or internet you've gotten, because when you do, you inspire other people. Finally, if you've not become a member, what are you doing? The link is under the video. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Every night at about 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, I send out the LALATE newsletter. It's a daily newsletter that includes all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus that's available for you to get. And now expanded, it includes the nonprofits and includes that Treasury statement. I want you to make a promise to yourself. I want you to get money as far as you can into 2022. If you're an Art Sullivan or Nisi who's already gotten $12,000, $20,000, I want you to get more money. If you haven't gotten any money, I want you to get the big money right now. Here's a few reasons why. Number 1, some places are paying the money into 2022. Number two, a lot of this money is not going to be in forced stimulus like rent and utilities. We don't think it's going to be in there. Number three, the nonprofits report to viewers this channel. They don't have a lot of people calling them at the moment. It's not winter yet. People don't have heating oil bills, and they're not worried about cold yet. Those phone calls start coming in November, December. Now they just don't have a lot of phone calls. So make the call now and get as much money as you can. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video with a big, massive recording as a major meeting held last night. Oh boy, is it a fluid situation. And here we go. Passed on Saturday night was a $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill, or what would be a markup of a bill passed by the House Budget Committee. Now, it's important to understand that all those incredible clusters that we talk about on this channel got in there. Cluster 1, 2, and 3. Passed, passed, passed. Democrats AOC, Omar, and Jalapal, who are progressives, their House members, have all confirmed to the viewers of this channel since even Friday that they're still putting in a monthly IRS stimulus check. Now, over the last 8 weeks, nearly 1,000 viewers of this channel have been told by over a dozen senators, Democrats, and other House Democrats that they're putting that provision in there. Here's what you need to understand where we are right now. Number one, as to the recon, there is no per se recon bill just yet. Why? Pelosi confirmed this late Saturday night that she wants to hear modifications from the Senate, she wants to hear modifications from the House, and she wants to hear modifications from the President. She specifically repeated that in a statement on Monday, saying, I don't want to just vote on something on the House and approve it if the Senate then says, I want to make changes. What is she doing? She's basically saying, everyone who wants to make changes, tell me your changes now so I can put them in there. So let's repeat it. While a markup of what would be a bill or a draft of what would be a bill passed the Budget Committee on a Saturday night, Pelosi's made on the record very emphatically clear that people are still making amendments, changes, whatever adjective you want to use, or verb or noun, to that markup. Ron Wyden over on the Senate side today said he wants to do a change that involves unemployment benefits being extended. He has 3 Democratic senators to support him. That's his cluster. Over on the House side, we have the cluster of AOC, Jalapal, and Omar telling viewers of this channel since just Friday that they are doing a monthly stimulus check amendment in there as well. But what happened over the last 8 weeks? Let's go over what happened the last 8 weeks. 8 weeks ago, I told the viewers of this channel to advocate for a stimulus check, and WR did. He picked up the phone and advocated to Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, advocating why he needs a stimulus check. And Senator Chris Coons said, yes, I'm inserting a monthly stimulus check provision in there. And then 3 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders came out and said, unlike prior budget chairmen, I like to get out amongst the people when I'm writing a budget bill. I said, translate. That means he wants to hear from you. That means he wants to hear from you. Bernie Sanders, what's his involvement? He's the guy who got the $3.5 trillion price tag. He got it by negotiating with Senate Democrats. He's chairman of the Budget Committee on the Senate side. The House Budget Committee released the budget bill. 3 weeks ago, I delivered 3 exclusives on this channel. One, that the House would vote in subcommittee first. They did. That the House would write this in subcommittee. They did. And that the House will ultimately vote first on the recon. They are. But also important was separating the fact that there's a Senate Budget Committee, Bernie, and this House Budget Committee. Bernie that week said, I want to hear from you. And I said, pick up the phone and call. And Lynn Glenn did call. She called Bernie Sanders' office, and they conferred a monthly stimulus check. Margaret did, and they conferred a monthly stimulus check. And Brother Joshua did as well. Brother Joshua advocated for us. Let's go over what advocacy looks like. Advocacy involves saying why you need it. I need it because. And the face of advocacy, I'm so proud of the viewers of this channel in the last 48 hours. This happened on Friday. Margaret, another Margaret, picked up the phone and cried. Honestly, I and the woman on the phone started crying when I explained everything I've been through. Then another viewer saying, I told her my husband died and that our relationship was not going well. However, how was I able to survive this pandemic with 10 surgeries since he passed? How am I able to raise 2 teenage daughters with this hardship? I'm living on SSDI. It's not enough. That's true advocacy. Brother Joshua did that to Bernie Sanders' office 3 weeks ago, saying why he needs it, why his family needs it, why his community needs it. Who's Brother Joshua? He was one of the earliest volunteers of the community page, got viewers thousands of dollars during the thick of the pandemic. Purple Hawk as well. He advocated Bernie Sanders' office, and Sanders' office 3 weeks ago told Brother Joshua that yes, Sanders will be inserting a monthly stimulus check provision for the Senate, $1,000 to $1,400 a month, 3 to 6 months, but needs to hear your support. And he did. The viewers of this channel really stepped up. It started with Donnie, who picked up the phone and really advocated vigorously for viewers of this channel. He heard my plea to say, pick up the phone and advocate, and Donnie did. Donnie called Sanders' office and said, I called Bernie Sanders' office, and his secretary said, they are doing a forced stimulus check. I said, this is what I need. My city needs it. I need to progress. I need to pay my water. And I told her everything I need, and she said, yes, they're doing a forced stimulus check. Hurricane Tina called Sanders' office. I called Bernie's office. I got through it. And they did say they're putting another stimulus check in there. These are screen grabs from people's comments publicly on this channel and also in social media posts. Carolyn Smith, I called Bernie Sanders' office to talk to his secretary and told her we need to help out here. People are losing their homes and what they got. And she agreed. Bernie is putting in a stimmy check. Yaya called up Ron Wyden's office, spoke to another Ron Wyden staffer who says they want the SS-200 as they promised in here, and also the stimulus check. And then Will showed us that you need to pick up the phone and call not one office, but 3 offices. Will did. And 2 weeks ago, Will called up Bernie's office, Schumer's office, and Sanders' office all in one day. And all 3 confirmed. All 3 of their secretaries confirmed a stimulus check. I was told it was happening, says Will. Elizabeth Warren's office asked me what I wanted. I said I want the American petition, and they said they're on board with that. They said Senator Warren is inserting $1,400 to $2,000 for 6 to 12 months. Then Larica gave us really a bombshell when she revealed to us that Larica, which is not Lorraine, but Larica, here we go, which said Senator Bob Casey said he is doing it. I talked to his secretary, and they said, yes, they're in negotiations right now for the amount of the monthly stimulus check. That was then. Then at that point, we had Democratic senator after senator telling nearly 1,000 viewers of this channel they're putting it in there. We had Senator Chris Coons telling WR, Sanders telling dozens of viewers, Warren telling Will and others, Schumer telling Will, Casey telling Larica, Wyden telling Yaya. Nearly 1,000 viewers of this channel told by this half a dozen senators that they're inserting that provision on the Senate side. Then I said, time to pick up the phone and advocate to the House side. Jayalapal, Omar, AOC, and Pelosi. And the advocacy continued as viewers picked up the phone and called, and one after another confirmed the same thing as well. Those confirmation messages looked like this. Viewers were told by Jayalapal's office the following. Janice, I called every Congress. I called Jayalapal. And she said, yes, they're doing a forced stimulus check. The messages continued to come in like Mark. You remember Mark, $51,000 Mark? He picked up the phone and called Pelosi's office. And Pelosi's office said, yes, they're inserting a monthly stimulus check provision, and they're near finalization on those negotiations. Here's Mark's comment to this channel as well. Pelosi's office said there will be a forced stimulus check in the amount of $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, and that they're near finished on the negotiations for it. There you go. So where were we going into the weekend? Going into the weekend, over 1,000 different viewers of this channel, by calling nearly a half dozen House Democrats and Senate Democrats advocating for a stimulus check insertion, were told that there will be a monthly stimulus check, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000 in the forced stimulus recon. Sometimes the verb tense was they're going to do it, or they are doing it, or they will be doing it, or they're doing it by amendment. Some cases they were saying near finished or about to be finished. What's important to understand is now, as we go into this afternoon, we understand a little bit more of why the situation is so fluid. Going into Sunday, after we heard that the House had passed a $3.5 trillion recon in the House Budget Committee, many would have thought that was the full book of a document. That was a document. It had a binder, it had a paperclip, it was stamped, it was stapled, and that was it. It was bound, and that was the whole thing. Not the case at all. In fact, Pelosi has now confirmed that to us. In fact, last week I had said that the president didn't want that to be the situation either. He wanted it very fluid. So if you want to make changes and insert something in there, you can insert something in there. That is why senators who go very last in the voting process during the two-day vote-a-rama have the ability to enter amendments. You remember what I've been telling you on this channel? Yes. House would vote first. World exclusive, I was delivering on this channel. It's now happening. And then Senate would vote last during a two-day vote-a-rama where senators introduce amendments. That's what a vote-a-rama is for. Well, it's very likely that the senator fractions that want you to have an MSE would be doing it by amendment. Also, on the House side, we have AOC Jalapal and Omar's office often using the word amendment as well, that they're going to slide it in throughout the process. Remember, not a full bill, not ready to be called for a vote, still being modified. Very, very fluid situation. So to recap where that document is right at the moment, Pelosi has made emphatically clear, and the president said this last week, that they don't want to make it look like it's a book that's closed and that's it. Whatever it is, that's it, gone, done deal. Not the case on either the House side or the Senate side. All right, now let's go to that big meeting from last night. On Monday night, there was a big meeting by Pelosi with House Democrats and lots of them. What was that meeting about? That meeting was to show you that the situation is very fluid on the voting process, on the RECON, the roads and bridges, and the debt ceiling limit. Let's go over what has transpired, because this is a very, very confusing part of the recording. In the months of August and July, and I even have them here on the set, Pelosi had those very stern comments. So did Jalapal, so did the progressives, so the White House, that said the RECON and the bipartisan have to be done together. You remember the quotes. Pelosi said, I'm not just doing the infrastructure, it has to be done with the RECON. The president saying it. We would also use the word linkage or combined. We had all those quotes from Jalapal, the president, Pelosi. Then, in the weeks that followed, Representative Josh Gothenheimer, if I'm pronouncing it right, the prom creator, that guy, yeah, the goth gang, that's what they call themselves. Again, a fraction, a group, a cluster of Democratic House members had urged Pelosi to call the vote on the roads and bridges by this week. This was the urging a few months ago. Pelosi agreed to it. So I told you about that at the time, and I told you about this yesterday. Well, we didn't know how this voting process was going to go on. At the edges is also this date, that is Thursday, called the Surface Transportation Deadline. Don't have to know what it is. It's very strange. It concerns transportation. It doesn't concern you. The date is out there. What happened in that meeting last night? It literally looks like a food fight in a high school cafeteria. It literally looks like it. You have groups. You have the goth gang saying, call the vote on the infrastructure by Thursday. We're going to run out of money because of this date on Thursday. You made a promise. Everyone wants the infrastructure. It has nothing to do with the RECON. Split them apart, de-link them. Then the progressives saying, we're going to vote against your infrastructure. We're going to vote against your infrastructure. Your infrastructure shouldn't go first. You call for a vote, we're going to vote against it. Okay, that's that gang in the cafeteria over there. Then we have Pelosi in the middle who promised they were going to keep them linked and that the RECON would go for a vote first. As of the indication of an off-the-record news article in a conservative publication that usually wants to run negative Democratic articles, they claimed that last night Pelosi agreed to de-link the roads and bridges from the infrastructure, call the vote on the infrastructure by Thursday, whether it's going to pass or not, I don't know if it will, and then still work on the RECON on its own timeline. Very, very peculiar. Now, What do I think about the situation? Number one, it is sort of pattern of behavior where Pelosi says something and then does exactly the opposite. So she said emphatically, in countless quotes on the record, they would stay linked and there was no way she was going to call the vote on the infrastructure first. Now, it may be that they will call the vote on the infrastructure on Thursday. Number two, Jalapal, AOC, and Omar absolutely have your back on this. The House progressives have your back on this. They think this Thursday date of the surface transportation thing is bogus, that it's not a real deadline, and that you can do it by appropriation, send more money out there. Then we also have the debt ceiling limit that was part of that chatter last night. During that chatter last night, the debt ceiling limit, which I've detailed on the channel, I'm going to go over in a second, it looks like the Democrats are caving in on this one as well and are simply going to do what the Republicans want to do on the debt ceiling limit, so claims the article, which would basically mean that whatever the Democrats passed for the debt ceiling limit last week was a waste of time. They should have done what the Republicans offered them. Very, very fluid situation. Do I know if any of these things are really going to happen, how they're going to happen? I don't know. Really don't. I don't think they know. I don't think anyone knows how they're going to do something. Here's the message I want to send to you. I want to always give you incredible excruciating detail so you can hear all the elements of the issue. The reason why I gave you the excruciating detail is for you to see that it's a lot of different groups. And we're talking about the House. I'm not even talking about the senators. We're talking about the House. Lots of different groups. The goth gang, the progressives that have your back, AOC, Jalapal, and Omar. Pelosi that's sort of saying one thing that may be doing something else, not very clear. And my impression. What's my impression of the situation? I get a sense, but I don't know. I get a sense that the president wants to just show wins and just wants to say, hey, I got something done. And it's not particularly the thing done that's supposed to be done. I'm not quite sure if that's the case. For example, the debt ceiling limit is ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. It's buffoonery. It's kids' games. The debt ceiling limit does not concern you. All your checks, if you're on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, you're a vet, you're an active service member, or you work for a federal agency, all your checks are coming on time. They're going to come on time this week, next week. If this goes on for 3 weeks, they're going to come on time. They commonly miss the deadline for a few days. They always have a lot of dramatics, and then they agree upon something like a bunch of kids. Then if it goes to December, then we worry. That's a once-in-a-generation occurrence. I don't think that's happening. Number two, the debt ceiling limit has nothing to do with funding of your recon. The debt ceiling limit is to pay for existing bills, like Trump stuff and early Biden stuff. Number three, does it involve impact of the work process? It does not, but now it's getting sort of muddied. I said yesterday it's very beneficial to us. It is, because it allows things to get done quicker. But now it's starting to look like the president just wants to look like he just gets things done, whether it's the right thing that's getting done. Not particularly clear if that's really the issue, but everyone thinks this is sort of ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Every time someone talks about debt ceiling limit to me, I just sort of laugh because it's like, it's such an easy thing to get done. It's just an easy thing to get done. You're not really arguing about anything. It's like you're arguing, do you want it sauteed or fried at 200 degrees? I'm like, it's almost the same thing. It's so close. What are you arguing about? So the debt ceiling limit is not an issue. It's really not an issue for anything. My bigger issue, and you saw my tweet, and this is what I ask you to do as well. I want you to go on social media, and I want you to call up AOC and Omar and Jalapal's office. I want you to call up any Democratic House member's office you can and say, vote against the infrastructure. Vote against the infrastructure. Vote it down. Vote it down. Now, if they do pass the infrastructure on Thursday, fine. It does not impact your recon. It does not impact your recon. It really doesn't. It would help if it was voted down, the infrastructure, but if they pass the infrastructure on Thursday, it doesn't really impact your recon or not. What's impacting the recon? What's impacting the recon is sort of this, let me hear what you want to think about something situation. There's this whole element, and that's why we're talking about the inclusion of the IRS stimulus checks. There's this whole thing that's going on about, let me hear what you want to do about this thing. And the progressives, they still want that stimulus check provision in there. Ron Wyden now talking about unemployment benefits in there. The president's having meetings with the two key Democratic senators, those two people, today, and he wants us about the recon. saying, you know, you got to, and what do I think is going to happen in that meeting? Here's my impression. Pelosi's comments last night were, we need to know what people want for this recon, because there's some people out there that are Democrats who are simply not saying what they want. And Pelosi made very clear, I can pass something for a vote very quickly in the House in blink of an eye. She made that, which is exactly my reporting. She can call this recon from Saturday passed in the subcommittee with the addition of stimulus checks. Call it on the House floor, and it will pass in a second. It would pass in a second. You would celebrate, and you would do a victory dance outside, and I'd say stop it. Why would I say stop it? Because Pelosi says the concern is that every Democrat is on board for this, not just the House Democrats. There's enough margin of, there is enough Democrats in the House for her to get whatever you want in there done. But she's concerned the global issue of all the senators. There's a lot of senators. There's not 2 senators. There's 10, 12, 5, 6, 8 senators. They're just having a lot of issues about different things. Ron Wyden is having an issue that there's not enough money in there. So, yeah, there's issues on the other direction that Ron Wyden is saying, 3.5 is not enough. You need to have more money. I'm not voting for it unless you have unemployment benefits in there. I'm not voting for it unless there's senior stuff in there. So there's a lot of people she's saying, you know, folks, you need to just tell me what you want in there and get it done. And I agree with her. I agree. I think she really has your back on this. Who really has your back? The progressives. Who really has your back? So far, Pelosi, because she understands there's an end game, and she's not trying to win. She's not trying to get just touchdowns. She's not trying to just get touchdowns. She's trying to win the whole game. And the debt ceiling limit is its own beast. And if they want to kick the ball on the debt ceiling limit, fine. It's a silly little thing. It doesn't concern anyone. The roads and bridges, if they call for a vote and they pass it first, all right. Does not defeat or kill anything about our recon. The thing that is issue of a recon is people need to say what they want. Say what you want and get it in there. And then we're done. Then we're done. Pass on a Saturday night, $3.5 trillion reconciliation budget bill that has a draft markup of a budget bill that has all these incredible clusters of checks in there. The House progressives still vowing to the minute AOC Omar and Jalapal for the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check. We believe the Senate Democrats as well. There's nothing that defeats our understanding of that as well. They've told over 1,000 viewers of this channel that they would insert it on the Senate side as well during the vote-a-rama, presumably. So you need to advocate. You need to pick up the phone and advocate. Stay with that Omar, Jalapal, and Pelosi phone calling. Stay with the advocacy on the Senate side. The situation is very fluid, and it could change by evening till late. I expect it to change. Remember, between now and Thursday, it's going to be a very pivotal moment, because Thursday may be the day in which the infrastructure is called for a vote. Stay with me. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. I didn't have time to go over Fistimals, so I'll be covering that tonight on Evenings LA and a little bit more. We're going to have a big show coming up next on Evenings LA. Stay with me. Overnight's Crypto coming up next on this channel, then Evenings LA, and then we have shows at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11:30 tonight. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.